Foresight, Chapter 2. There is a text from an unknown number. Izuku unlocks the phone and takes a closer look. Unknown number. Prospective job for you. 1 day of work. Long time out. Yes or no? Now. 10,000 yen before and 70,000 after. Izuku stares at the keyboard and wonders if he should respond. Then, another notification dings on his screen. It's from the bank robbers group chat. Leader. Anyone else get this offer from those pretentious villain guys? Slingshot. Yeah, I don't understand them. One sec they are all, you're not good enough to join our group. The next you're all, come take the shady deal for a suspicious amount of cash. Tall one. What are you guys talking about? Did I miss something good again? Why do you always leave me out of the interesting things? I don't get respect for the hard work that I put into making this group into a... Oh wait, the invite just came in, never mind. Leader. It's fine. Boxman. Sounds like a pretty good deal though. That a lot of yen for a day of work, like objectively, doesn't matter if they're asshats. Slingshot. Unless you get arrested. Leader. Those guys are the worst! Izuku feels something hard to understand in his quirk. He stares at his hands. They twist and twirl across his knuckles and then creep outward. A few grow up and curl around his forearms. He has never been able to quite put the language of his quirk into words. Most simple things are just basic impulses. Those are easy to follow, easy to do. More complicated things means he needs to stare at the pattern of greenish black vines that tumble across his skin. This pattern is somehow more forceful, a little more angular and intricate. Izuku reads it after a few moments. You want me to tell them to say no? Izuku asks out loud. Sometimes that's the easiest way to confirm he has understood correctly. The vines seem to curl in on themselves in glee. It feels like validation, but Izuku just snorts in amusement. Why couldn't his quirk just tell him to get simple things? This was getting ridiculous. Sparky. Anyone else think there is something wrong with this? Leader. Well, yeah, they are the worst. Sparky. I mean, everything's kind of off. Why call all of us at once? Does that mean they're looking for disposable goons? Leader. Are you calling us goons? Slingshot. Rude. Sparky. Of course not, but I think these guys are setting us up as a cannon fodder. I mean, look at it. They send out mass text messages to everyone, even us who don't like them because they are the worst, with really high payments that we won't really get if we are thrown away by whatever they are planning to do. Leader. Wow, that's a good point, at Sparky. You are right, they are the worst. I fought for a big cut. Boxman. I thought we do get paid? I mean, if you're doing a vote, I can do that, right? Leader. Yes, you can. However, I must warn you that I have 13 votes. Boxman. That means our vote doesn't matter though. Leader. Exactly! Boxman. I hate it here. Izuku watches the group chat as Leader convinces the rest of them to join in on the boycott. At his quirk's instruction, he responds to the unknown number that he is willing to take the job. Izuku's first conversation with a Todoroki goes like this. He's working on the bushes outside the huge training gym, trimming and weeding and all the things required for the yard to look as high class as it does. Then, his quirk tells him to bring his bulky gardener's duffel bag and go around to the front of the training room. He does, and comes face to face with pro hero Endeavor. He is standing in front of the doors of the gym, leaning against the wall with his arm crossed. He isn't wearing his hero costume, but he is wearing training gear. Izuku freezes, but the hero doesn't react at all. He just gives Izuku a contemptuous look, seeing his grass-stained pants, gardener's uniform jacket, and duffel bag. Then he looks away from Izuku and fixes his eyes firmly on the back door of the house. Izuku, not exactly certain what he was supposed to do, bows slightly and keeps going past the hero. Izuku walks across the yard and around the corner of the house. He almost runs into another boy. Izuku jerks backward and stops. The boy is standing under the eaves of the roof. He is peering around the corner of the house, just like how Endeavor is staring at the back door. The boy has white and red hair, pale eyes, and a scar that covers half his face. This must be one of the Todoroki children then. The boy looks startled for a moment, then nods slightly. Izuku would have taken it for the boy being stuck up if Izuku didn't recognize the way the boy had no idea what to say. His quirk isn't telling him to keep going, so Izuku decides to stick around. "What are you waiting for?" Izuku asks in an undertone, sitting with his back against the house, out of view of Endeavor and behind the other boy. Said boy flinches and looks back at Izuku with wide eyes, probably hadn't realized that Izuku hadn't left. "Aren't you working?" he asks, though he seemed more confused than accusatory. Izuku shrugs. "You wanna fire me?" If he says something bad enough, his quirk will tell him to get out of there. The boy just blinks at Izuku, then leans against the wall so he can peer around the corner and still see Izuku. "Usually the staff avoid us. I think Angie will fire you if he sees you talking to me," he adds contemplatively, calling parents by their first name. Never a good sign. Man, Izuku doesn't feel bad butting in though. "Huh," Izuku says. Then, on a hunch, he adds, "If that's what he wants, then you could just go out and tell him." "Why would I do what he wants?" the boy asks. He seems to realize what he has said a moment after he'd said it and snuck a worried glance in the direction of Endeavor. Izuku lets the conversation slip into silence as he talked. Why had his quirk told him to come? Something to do with Endeavor standing guard in front of the training room. "What are you waiting for?" Izuku asks. The boy says nothing, just stares around the corner. "Seems like you don't want to talk to your old man," Izuku muses, watching the boy for a reaction. "But you want something from the building." The boy says nothing, but Izuku can see a layer of ice building up on his right side. "Not training though, you're not dressed for it." He's wearing a long-sleeved dress shirt and jeans. But he is. So my conclusion is that there is something in there you want, but if you go and try to get it, he's gonna rope you into the training, no matter what you have to say about it. Izuku can see the boy's face clenching and he glares at Izuku, though he still doesn't respond. There is a tugging sensation in Izuku's gut, and he stands up, lugging his bulky duffel with him. As Izuku passes the boy, he tries to grab Izuku's sleeve and pull him back. Izuku catches a glimpse of the boy's face. It's rather desperate. He doesn't make a sound though, and soon Izuku is out of arm's reach. Izuku walks back to the training gym. Endeavor is still standing in front, but the hero ignores Izuku completely this time. Izuku walks right past him into the gym. Once inside, his quirk tells him to go to the far right corner. There is a bag lying under a bench that his quirk tells him to get. Izuku opens it partially. Inside are what look like school books. His quirk tells him to take it, so Izuku puts it inside his duffel bag and walks back out of the door. Endeavor ignores him. Izuku walks across the lawn and back around the corner. The boy is staring at him, eyebrows furrowed and fists held tightly at his sides. Izuku sits down against the house again and pulls the backpack out from his duffel bag. He holds it out to the boy. The boy freezes, then takes it like it was some wondrous treasure. "How'd you get past him?" he asks, like he hadn't just watched Izuku do it. "He ignores Steph. I'm Steph. He ignores me," Izuku answers with a shrug. The boy holds his backpack at his front and sits down beside Izuku. He studies, Izuku. You're a gardener? You don't look old enough. I'm in middle school, Izuku answers back with a shrug. Oh, the boy says, then leans back against the house, staring at his backpack. Well, I gotta head back to work, Izuku says, feeling like he's borne the awkwardness for long enough. He stands up with his bulky duffel. It was nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, the boy echoes softly, still staring at his backpack. The next Todoroki Izuku meets is actually pretty normal, though she does almost hit him with a glass jar. Izuku is outside the kitchen window, tending to flowers that didn't actually need to be tended until next week, but his quirk told him to, so Izuku is there, running and weeding. Then, someone shouts from above him. He looks up to see a glass jar falling down from a high first-story window. His hands jerk upward instinctively and manage to catch it in his bulky gardening gloves before it lands on him. He looks up. A pale face peers out from the window and stares down at him. She has pale eyes and white hair with hints of red. She is older than Izuku, in her 20s or so. Oh my god! She shouts, leaning out the window and holding her hands to her mouth. There's someone there. Are you okay? I was just trying to make the window sill pretty. I'm so sorry. It didn't hit you, right? It is a rather pretty jar, stained a lovely green-blue color. Real artsy. Good decoration. I'm okay, Izuku calls. Your jar's okay too. Want me to bring it up? No, I'll come down. Wait a second. She disappears from the window, and Izuku is left standing with a jar. A minute later, the woman exits one of the side doors and runs to Izuku. You're okay, right? She asks, checking him over. Yeah, it wasn't even going to hit me. Izuku lies. He holds it out to her and she takes it. You were putting it in the windowsills? Izuku asks, trying to change the subject. Yeah, she says, calming down. I was just trying to brighten up the place a bit, just kind of fumbled with it. Scared me half to death when I saw that you were right under me, she says with an awkward laugh. No harm, no foul, Izuku says with a shrug. There is a second of silence. Then Izuku remembers that his quirk has told him to be here. What did it want him to do? Seems like it just wants him to meet all of the Todorokis. Well, it was mostly successful. There couldn't be that many more, right? So, you do the decorating here? You don't have stuff to do it? I guess I could get the stuff to do it, she says with a sort of self-conscious shrug. But I thought I should do a bit since I'm here anyway. No, that makes sense. I was just wondering. Izuku can feel his quirk pushing him to continue the conversation, and he internally flails for some conversation starter. That jar is nice. Were you planning on putting flowers on or something in it? Oh, well, I was thinking maybe river stones. She answers. She seems to grow a bit at the attention. I've been looking for ideas. I thought that maybe something like crystals instead. The light from the window would look nice with the jar's color. Once Izuku had gotten her into the subject, she warms up to talking. Izuku is quite content to ask the occasional encouraging questions as she rambles about her various decoration ideas. She eventually brings him inside the main house and shows up some of the work she has done already. And during the tour, the conversation drifts a bit. Izuku finds he really does enjoy her company. She is a bit bumbling and tended to interrupt herself, but she's kind and empathetic. Izuku finds himself mentioning his fashion club, and the conversation wanders a bit. She tells him about her fake desire to get into more makeup, and they commiserate in their twin struggles in finding a good foundation. After 15 minutes or so, his quirk tugs at him to get out of the building, and Izuku hears someone opening a door on the other side of the main house. Oh, wow, sorry, I got to get back to work, Izuku says, standing up from the chair he had settled in with an apologetic look. It was nice to talk to you though. I'll probably see you around. Yeah, it was nice, she answers with a smile. Sorry about the jar thing. I'll see you around. Oh, my name is Todoroki Fuyumi. It's nice to meet you. I'm Akatani Mikumo. Izuku bows back at Fuyumi. It was nice to meet you too. Izuku flees from the house in a mostly orderly fashion. Izuku's quirk tells him to pull out a nearly 100,000 yen and pull on his coat. Seems like he's going shopping. The first store he visits is filled with things for computers. It starts with some kind of cable connector that seems to go from some older version of a USB to something that will work with his computer. But that's not as weird as the next thing his quirk guides him to. The writing on the box calls it a RFID cloner, and his quirk seems convinced that he needs it. The fines are particularly interested. They have grown across his hands and past his elbows. Izuku looks up what this thing is on his phone and finds that it's designed to copy ID cards. If you just scan the signals from ID card with the thing, it can copy that signal and get through any scanner that reads that card. Izuku hadn't heard of it before, but it is interesting. He buys the cable and the RFID copier and finds that takes up most of the yen that he had brought with him. The next place that his quirk leads him to is a thrift store. He wanders through the shelves until he finds 3 old jumpsuits. They are some kind of maintenance uniform with the logo of a museum that Izuku has never heard of. He also grabs 3 flashlights from the electronics section. The third place that Izuku goes is the most fun. It's a fireworks shop. He spends a while looking at things that look interesting. After a while spent having fun, his quirk guides him to something that looks like a smoke bomb with a timer on it. He reads through the instructions and finds that it's meant for fire show productions to make things more dramatic. He buys it. When he goes home, he starts altering the jumpsuits. Sewing is one of those things that his quirk makes a little bit weird. The actual act becomes unusual but still fluid mix of his own judgment and experience and his quirk guiding his hands. The changes that he makes to the jumpsuit are pretty normal though. One of them, he hems to fit himself. The others, he doesn't change quite as much, just a bit thinner. He doesn't know who they are meant to fit, but he packs them away in his closet and figures that they will come in handy sometime. When the time comes to apply to high school, his quirk only tells him one. It's an expensive place, the kind generally only open to the richest of kids. Izuku stuffs down his nervousness and applies. Izuku got into the school. Not too surprising, he had always been pretty okay at classes. The only really hard part was convincing mom that he got a scholarship which paid for everything. Once that's done, he just uses the cash from his job and from the bank robbery to pay the whole year's tuition. It takes a good chunk out of what he has left, but his quirk seems to think it's worth it. The only part he doesn't like is that his quirk pushes him towards a tiny apartment near the school. He doesn't really want to move away from his mom. But, well, he was already pretty deep into this whole mess. It doesn't make much sense to chicken out now of all times. The apartment he ends up with is tiny. He doesn't have much in terms of belongings, but he brings more than a dozen of his plants with him. They make it feel like home more than anything else he has brought with him. But once his stuff is moved in, he finds that he really did like it and realizes that just outside of the window is a ladder leading to the roof. He moves in a few days before school starts, then makes sure to call mom every few days. Izuku's quirk pulls him out of bed and he groans. It's Saturday. His first week of school had been exhausting and he had been looking forward to having a break over the weekend. No such luck. He gets ready for the day. Then his quirk pulls him towards the storage boxes in the closet. He hadn't yet unpacked them, so they were still taped up. He opens the box and finds the items from his mysterious shopping trip a few weeks ago. His quirk tells him to pull out the jumpsuit and the flashlights. He puts the rest back. So that was still a mystery then. He packs all of them into his bag and heads out. Izuku's quirk pulls him across the city to a neighborhood he has never seen before. It doesn't look expensive, but it isn't the nicest area. He slips into an apartment building behind a group of people and takes the elevator to the 5th floor. He glances around, wondering what exactly he is doing here, but the vines on his hands lead him to one of the doors. Izuku is wondering if he should knock when his crime phone dings and he digs it out of his pocket. It's a message. Leader. Greetings, Sparky. I have another opportunity for you today. Would you be willing to work with our illustrious group once again? Izuku glances at the message, then at the door in front of him. His quirk pushes him towards the door. He knocks. After a bit, someone answers. It's the woman who was called Slingshot. She doesn't look like Izuku remembers. She's dressed in casual clothes and seemed like anyone that Izuku could meet on the street in his day-to-day life. How the hell did you get here? Is her first question. Izuku wanders past her at the prompt of his quirk. Inside is a normal apartment. It doesn't look like something that a villain would live in. But there are pictures of both Leader and Slingshot on the walls, and it seems comfortable enough. Seiko, who's here? Yells Leader's voice from another room. Give me literally 1 second, she shouts back, then turns back to Izuku. But seriously, why are you here? I think that Leader has a job, Izuku tries. He literally texted you a minute ago, Slingshot says. Well, I told you I'm always in the right place, didn't I? Izuku answers. It seems like this is the right place to be. That takes her a few seconds to parse. Your quirk? Yeah, Izuku nods. It told me to be here. Slingshot stares at him for a few minutes, then laughs. Holy shit, kid, she says and ruffles Izuku's hair as she strides past him into another doorway. This might actually turn out well for once. Izuku wanders in behind her. The room looks like it could be a kitchen under the piles of paper and string that covers all available surfaces. Leader is staring in front of an impressive-looking board that reminds Izuku of conspiracy theories. Leader glances back and does a double take at Izuku. Sparky! What? How nice of you to join us so fast. Then he pauses. Wait, how did you get here so fast? And how did you know where we live? Quirk, remember? Slingshot says. She settles into a dining room chair, waving a can of Coke. Oh, Leader's eyes are wide. That's... Izuku feels a threat of anxiety for a moment. Absolutely amazing, Leader growls. He jumps towards Izuku and puts his arm on his shoulders. I'll be honest, I thought you were exaggerating or something when you were telling us about it all before, but that's seriously amazing and terrifying. You're not like the police or something, right? This is going to be so cool. Do you want to plan with us? I've got the most amazing plan so far. I've got this buddy who knows a guy who once worked at this museum, and he says that there is an exhibit that has like security but has some pretty valuable things. And oh, do you want something to drink? Izuku pauses for a second, not sure if Leader is going to let him respond or just pile on more questions. Sure, Izuku manages. Great, Leader says. He gets drinks for himself and Izuku, then decides he is hungry and makes them all lunch as well. Izuku doesn't think he stops talking for the entire time, but it doesn't really bother Izuku. Perhaps Leader is a bit abrasive, but Izuku has never minded listening to people. So, Slingshot eventually cuts in. Now that my brother had talked you deaf, let's get down to business. Oh, yes, Leader says, through a mouthful of sandwich. Let's. What is the plan? Izuku asks. Okay, so sorting through one of the endless piles of paper to pull something out. There's this museum of early Quirk era stuff, right? Right. Asahi, leader does a little wave and slingshot continues. Knows a guy who knows a guy because I'm pretty sure he knows everyone who worked there and left a few months back. Slingshot hands Izuku some papers. They have pictures of what look like vintage toys and some old type of phones that he doesn't recognize. These are some of the things that are kept there. It's basically just junk that people preserve from the early Quirk era. It's just there and not really that important to anyone. But there are some people that really like this stuff, so it's got a bit of a collector's market in various places. This means that this junk that no one really cares to protect is really expensive junk. Leader cuts in. He seems to have inhaled his sandwich in the last few moments. And that's why we're going to steal it! Oh, Izuku says. Leader stares at him for a few moments, then glances at Slingshot. Izuku doesn't quite know what passes between them. Of course, Slingshot says diplomatically. This is just something that we are cooking up. There's really no need for you to get caught up in it all if you're not looking for it. We would love your help, but crime's not really for everyone, and we would understand it if after that last close call you would not want to... Oh, no, Izuku says. After all, his court got a plan, and Izuku doesn't really worry about morality or that kind of thing anymore. I'll join. What do you guys need? Really? Leader leans forward gleefully. Just like that? Yeah, what do you need for your haze? Slingshot tilts her head at Izuku. The codes to get in, she pauses, and a more foolproof escape plan. My plan is already foolproof, Leader starts, but Slingshot shushes him. Izuku nods and reaches into his bag. He pulls out the jumpsuits, which he had grabbed. Leader pulls them towards him and looks at the badges sewn into the front. Wait, this is from the museum. How do you... Leader and Slingshot look at each other. There is a shared gleam in their eyes. Izuku says. There's another thing actually. Could I have your phone? Leader shrugs and hands it over. So I've got this thing where I can... Izuku says slowly, then he follows the movement of the vines on his hands and types in the password to Leader's phone. Well, I can always know passwords. He hands it back. Slingshot laughs, long and hard, doubling over from the force of it. It's something between malicious and delighted. Kid, she finally managed, pulling herself upright and wiping at her eyes. You're a goddamn natural. This is going to be so good. They spent a while after that planning. Izuku's never really planned something before and is vaguely interested in learning what it's like for other people. Later, Izuku says his goodbyes after the details have finally been decided. Before Izuku can duck out, Leader makes them a second lunch and sends Izuku off with leftovers.